This is Firdaus Al-Farouk with MedTech Insight here with Bill Murray with the Medical Device Innovation Consortium. We're sitting here in the Hilton Hotel right next to the Convention Center in Minneapolis where AdvaMed 2016 is wrapping up. Well, Bill made some big announcement this week about a new project that they're working on. Bill, I wanted to first of all thank you for joining me here today. So tell me about this project that you're doing with FDA and the Michael J. Fox Foundation where you're trying to move clinical trials away from the generic p-value of 0.05. Why is this necessary, and how do you think the research community is going to react to it?
Well, Danny, we're very excited to participate in this project. As you know, MDIC from the very early days was involved and focused on incorporating patient preferences into clinical trial designs. This project is an extension of that activity. Traditional trial designs with a 0.05 p-value can be time-consuming and very costly, and as a result can limit or sometimes prevent access to important new therapies and technologies. This project provides a means to incorporate in a scientifically valid way patient preferences into clinical trials, and we believe as a result that can potentially provide access to important new therapies for patients.
Interesting. Could you talk a little about the tentative timelines you have for this project, when you plan on trying to complete it, and tell us a little about the funding?
So the timeline for this project, so to start with, first what we did is we have a model that we've replicated a number of times here. So we did a pilot project with retrospective analysis of some of the obesity data that FDA had previously, and that was a proof of concept that gave us comfort that this project had a potential for success. So now what we're doing is we're partnering, as you know, with the Michael J. Fox Foundation, and so first we're looking at preference outcomes that are important, in this case to Parkinson's patients. Then we'll work on developing a study framework for a study that will be provided through the Fox Insight tool to those Parkinson's patients. That information then will be fed into the statistical model that is being developed at MIT, and ultimately this work will then end up in a published report, and that report will be socialized through stakeholder engagement. So you asked previously the question around how do you engage the physicians and the providers into this equation. We know that our work has to, number one, be scientifically rigorous and has to incorporate and be socialized through an engagement process.
Interesting. So, as you mentioned, as we mentioned as well, FDA is on board with this. So, from their perspective, what have they specifically said they need for this project to work?
So, FDA has been an integral part of this project from the very beginning. In fact, FDA actually introduced the researcher to MDIC. As you're also familiar, the expedited access pathway has been something that FDA has been provided guidance on, and in that guidance they talked about the potential to have a different p-value from 0.05. What was missing is how to incorporate that into the trial design. So they're very supportive, but what has to happen and what we need to do is to have the scientific evidence that supports incorporating patient preferences into the trial design.
Interesting. So how does this fit in with other trial design projects you guys are working on? Recently I wrote about the virtual patient model. In fact, there's a lot of things that you guys are working with, I think, with Duke University and others. Talk about how this all fits in.
So again, I think first of all, it's a consistent approach to the projects where we go and we develop tools that can be incorporated into and used by researchers and ultimately assessed and evaluated by FDA. This project is complementary with a virtual patient project. They are independent projects in that you do not need one to do the other, but one could envision in the future where they could be complements in the same trial. We're doing applied research, so at the end of the day we have to show that the results are indeed effective and valid, and in that context we believe they'll get incorporated into and be considered by the agency.
So if this is successful, do you suppose in the long term it will lead to FDA modifying their clinical trial requirements through guidance and rule changes?
So similar to some of our other projects, we believe that the agency will use this information if the results are positive to inform decisions that they make in the future. So as I mentioned from the beginning, they've been an integral part of this project, and while there's no way for me to guarantee that they will actually incorporate this tool into their guidance, if the results are positive, I would envision that they would use that to inform some of their decision processes on guidance in the future.
Well, Bill, thanks so much for speaking. You know, I've been covering you guys for probably about the past 2 years or so, and things are just wrapping up. So, and you're moving to DC today. So, congratulations on that, and best of luck.
A busy time. We're very excited with all that's going on. Thank you.
Thanks.